Hello for the sixth Sunday of Easter, using primarily the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, 15, 1 to 2, and verses 23 to 22 to 29, and maybe the Gospel, John 14. I have a question to ask you that I asked myself this past Wednesday. It follows upon stages of development. What are the three most significant stages of your development in your life? And so I asked myself this question, and I came up with this. I don't know what you would come up with, but I said, one, the first stage in my development was the first 18 years when I grew up in a good family, a Catholic Christian family. Lots of problems, but lots of answers and lots of love. And that is the biggest grace of my life and the first stage of development. Then I went in the seminary after high school for 4 years. But after 4 years, my second stage of development was this. I was chosen to go to the seminary in Europe, in Innsbruck, Austria. And there I stayed for 4 years without coming home. Not like the Army. You get home more often in the Army than the seminary. And there I left my family, my friends, my language, my country, my food, in a sense, my everything, to be a seminarian in preparation of the priesthood. But that was probably the second biggest stage of development and lasting in my life, those 4 years. And then sort of finally, the third stage, believe it or not, is after I left Pax Christi. 10 years, the founding father of Pax Christi, which was great. The other assignments were wonderful. But the last 15 years of my retirement, in quotes, I think has been the biggest stage of my development. Now, there's another little stage, fallen in love a couple times, but we're not going to talk about that publicly. What are the three stages of your fundamental development in your life? I say that because of the first reading. In an article I read by that great theologian, and I studied, or was at the university, didn't study directly under him, but as far as Father Karl Rahner. And he talks about the three most important stages of development in the Roman Catholic Church. And I like to start out with, and that's the first reading. Jesus, the Jew, in a Jewish culture, living on planet Earth 2 or 3 years, and he tells us how to live, and people congregate around that in that Jewish culture. But as you know, we know in that reading there, this is some of the problems where Paul tried to preach to the Jews in Israel or in Jerusalem, and he got an insight into the real message of Jesus when he was knocked off his horse and Jesus talked to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And he was rebuffed in Jerusalem, and he decides then to go westward to the Gentile world, to the Greeks, and 3 missionary journeys. And this message of Jesus Christ, in his second stage, didn't stay with a small little community in Jerusalem or in the Holy Land there, but because of Paul and the revelation of the same Jesus Christ, Christ came for everyone. And Paul starts the process. And there's all kinds of problems, like if you're going to become a follower of Christ, you got to be circumcised. You got to follow the Jewish laws of marriages, and you got to do all these ritual things of Judaism. And there in Jerusalem, they decided you don't have to do all those things in the Gentile world. That growth, that stage, probably lasted almost 2,000 years. To what this Father Karl Rahner, the Jesuit, says is the third stage of development in the Roman Catholic Church. Well, what's that stage? That stage is the beginning of the Second Vatican Council, the 21st Council. This is a 22nd grouping of these apostles or the bishops. And what happened there? What happened there is that we live in a new world. We live in the world of the internet. We live in the world of communication. We live in a world where we can be all over the world. And so can the message of Jesus Christ for the good. We live in a world with communication, Facebook, YouTube, where we can message whatever we want to everybody in the world. Oh, a few countries try to control the internet, but not too successfully. We're living in the third stage of development of the message of Jesus Christ, and what we like to call Roman Catholicism, Christianity, or the message being open to all, to the Muslim world, to the Russian world, and by golly, to the billion people in the world of China. There's a new world, and there's a new way of communicating the message of Jesus Christ. I'd like you to think about that. One of the things that we bragged about with the Roman Catholic Church was it was Catholic, or translation, universal. You go to Rome and get a Latin Mass. You go to Germany and get a Latin Mass. You come to Lexington and get a Latin Mass. And it was sort of universal, but not really. The internet, the Facebook company, or YouTube, or in the like, has made it unbelievably different and universal in its scope. So the question is, what are we going to do with what we have at hand? All of these technical new abilities of communication, all of how close everything is in the world now. And the world has been redeemed by Jesus. Everybody redeemed by Jesus. And Jesus wants to reveal everything to everyone in the world that his Father told him to communicate. And that's the bottom line, the bottom thrust of the Roman Catholic religion, to give the message of Jesus sent by the Father to everyone in the world. I know my little teeny world, the first 18 years, and then the next 8 years, and then the next, and then the past 15 years in retirement. That's a pimple. I won't say what I'm thinking. That's a pimple compared to the whole wide world. And we're living in this dynamic change of communication and giving to the world the message of Jesus Christ. Think about it. What are your 3 developmental stages? How do you see your church preaching, teaching the message of Jesus? Have a good day.